Lando, Standy, it's time for Demon Joe to jump in the lobby. Good luck, fellas.
I appreciate that. Alley spitting some fire on the deck. We love to see it, man. But like you guys said, I got official confirmation. This is really the final match, Jay, for the final winner spot when it comes down to the Toronto Major. So everything is on the line. You win and you're in. As the desk touched on, this is the fourth matchup between these teams, Boston versus Florida. And Jay, here are the maps and modes. One that I'm sure not a whole lot of people saw yesterday, Boston play on Gavutu. Why? Because it was incredibly short.
Yeah, Boston did not show up to the arena yesterday. They did not come to play in that match. They, like Nameless said, didn't even turn their monitors on. But they have to completely forget about that because they're going up against a Florida Mutineers team who have been struggling in the last couple of matches. That one versus Seattle losing every single respawn. But now they're all feeling a lot better. These guys just got over COVID. Everyone is going to be sitting in the facility. So it's a totally different Florida Mutineers roster that we're going to see today.
Okay, nice little 360 spin for the nade. Yeah, okay, interesting stuff. Off the rip here for Boston. But yeah, Jay, like we said, Breach off the loss on Gavutu yesterday when they were getting destroyed by the human turret, by the way. Just got to point that out. We'll see if the Florida Mutineers can maybe try and be that same formidable force as they're starting things off quite nicely inside of the OBJ. And recently it has been bright skies here on Gavutu. No pun intended for the Florida Mutineers. They've won this one a decent amount of times in a row. And so far, they have been uncontested over at P1 while Vivid's thinking about those spawns for next.
Yeah, they just got a clean forward at Boston. Now flip those spawns, spawning toward that cliff side. They're still going to send a couple players, though. Try to attack towards that P1, but Awakening and DavePatty doing a great job of cutting them down and holding this first hard point for a good 45 seconds. It should be a full 60, but at least off the rip, you have to wait some time to get there. So that's been a flawless hold to start this game for Florida. Now off the rotation towards P2, they are going to have the numbers advantage, but Capsidal and Methodz answer with two of their own to at least win the rotation for now for Boston.
Yep, and like we said, man, I mean, this is the two teams who just instantly are always on top of that rotation battle. I think it's number 1 and number 2 in the CDL this season. So you saw Vivid make the play for it. Well, Boston now have got that one to think about for P3. However, it could be time for Nero to try and slay around it. It's been a slow qualifier, but maybe it could be time for the Roman Emperor to start things off nicely. There we go. He goes on a streak, and just like that, well, Boston, they've got their first points on the board, buddy.
Yeah, and Nero's not slowing down on a 5 spree. Now you know that the Florida Mutineers players are going to try to rotate over towards P1, but he gets taken down by Awakening. So now with Florida spawning out towards the backside, have to attack this from the front. Vivid with that opening kill to at least get that rest of that junk time off of that P2. He's going to try to set up that pinch, but so far Boston doing a great job of winning every single gunfight towards P1 to keep control for now.
Well, control for the moment. TJ did a great job at hanging out toward lower beach. I was going to say, if he can stay behind that tank, there's another line of defense the Florida Mutineers are going to have to try and cross. Well, first 15 seconds are done and through, and this could be the great opportunity for the Mutineers to try and strike, as TJ answers with one, Capsidal answers with the other, and just like that, what turned out to be something special very well could have remained that as DavePatty all 4. Oh my goodness, an instant team wipe from the legend, the father, it seems like, of the CDL. A great little 4 spree there for DavePatty and Skies, picking up maybe some of that momentum. A great moment there for the Mutineers, but the race is on once more for the rotation. Boston somewhat bruised and battered, but they can rely on that next rotation as they've got it for new.
Yeah, Boston are going to be fully set up. They said, hey, that final 30 seconds is 100% going to go to DavePatty's favor. And that's good for Florida because on this map, we saw it first in rotation, but dead last in when they're in on their breaks. So that's massive for them to find that 30 seconds towards the end of that P3 hill. Now off the rotation towards P4, you see Boston so far pushed out on the map. It's going to take at least another 10 to 15 seconds for Florida to even get close to this. They're just trying to find a couple kills over towards the ship side. Capsidal doing everything he can to stay alive towards the middle of the map, and this has been a great hold from Boston. Florida cannot get close.
Yeah, like I said, it's just kind of living up, right, to the exact stigma that we had coming into this series. Both teams, great rotations breaking. Definitely could use some work, especially from the Florida side. It only takes DavePatty killing the entire team in an unbelievable streak to allow for yourselves to finally break a hill. But as we come to a close over at P4, Capsidal finds a 2. And on top of that, Boston have reclaimed that advantage, one that looked to be theirs much earlier in the game had it not been for Mr. Paddington. But P5 now ready up and somewhat restored as Nero now very well can find himself on a flank. Great little opportunity as he's able to find one on to Vivid. Florida few of those spawns over at P1, then puts the pressure over toward top boat, and right now, Jay, Capsidal is frying.
I thought he was an SMG. He's doing it the automaton as well, man. Nice two-piece to at least open up this hill for his team. Boston trying to do everything they can to hold this from the front side. Capsidal, that's going to be 3 dead in the feed. Now Florida, this has been 2 great holds so far from Boston. That P4 was a full 60, and they're able to chain this to this P5. If they're able to do it with that P1 control as well, because you already see 25 seconds, you already have Methodz in that position towards that top ring, thinking about that rotation. Right now, Boston are just a step ahead. Florida right behind, have to now win a couple gunfights, and they do just so. Vivid and DayPaty with 2.
Yeah, Vivid and DayPaty with 2, and well, that's going to at least allow for the entry early on toward P1 for Florida after what has been a brigade from Boston as of late. The Young Guns have came to play, at least in this opening. Gavutsu, Nero playing well. Capsidal, as we said, a great start for him as he's able to find another kill in the feed with 1 there on to Vivid. And the biggest thing too, Jay, it's weird to talk about, but the lowest hardpoint KD this qualifier for Boston actually comes through from Capsidal. So as we said, all 8 players aware of how important this game is. And like we said, for Boston, fans can be excited to see that it is the Young Guns doing a great job once more. Speaking of Young Guns, this time it's DayPaty that ends up finding 1. A highly contested battle for the final 30 seconds. Let's go and step aside though and go to the comms, specifically with the Boston Breach.
Okay, I need to ring.
I'm watching their side.
He's on me, low cliff.
Nice good shit, yo. Look for Dave New.
I'll push it through. He's dead first.
Nice,
Stay on time. Stay on time.
Low hold.
I don't
Push it
see
out.
anything.
Absolutely.
Hold on.
Nice, let's go. Push up.
Yeah, you're gonna be here already.
Yo.
I'm first cut. Top house. Wait, 1 shot. Top house. Wait.
Yo, I'm looking to stage.
He's 1 shot. Top. Stay down.
Yo, low cages, bro.
Okay, all good.
I'm just got top house.
Working right here. Yeah, I'm with you.
Wait, dead.
Nice good shit.
I'm name top both. I'm pretty sure on attack. I'm name top. He's close to freeze, guys.
Davis, top of house.
Reese, first cut. Reese,
Nice,
nice.
big win.
I'm flying
I'm
cross.
up on your right. Give me a sec.
I slide cross.
Yo, top ring, kid. Top ring.
Stun.
Davis, top ring. You
One
guys,
guy's top house.
He
ran Holly.
Lead that guy.
Caesar's close to time. If you go for Hall, he's close to time.
Top house.
Okay.
Guys, top house, 1 bullet.
I'm
Wait.
in time.
Go.
I need a little hole. I need you.
Slide on it. I'm first cut right now.
Okay. Mid-tank. Reese mid-tank.
The tank watch out. On top of the tank, 1 bullet.
Reese is mid-tank.
Davis dead left. Nice on tank.
Yeah, we flip. Nice. I'm pressuring the sword.
Yo, look at it. Watch out.
Someone go right.
He's go top bowl. He's coming the ladder from top bowl.
Nice.
Coming the ladder.
Crossing new. Ring tank and all.
Okay. I'm also gonna let me know.
He's all low hole. One more ult, one more dead. One going ring, I think. Ring dead.
Nice. I'm up in ring.
Okay, we're good.
I got your ring.
I got Nitty. Just had ring. They're ramp.
You have to show my circle back in.
I'll see the guy.
He's out of ring heady.
Okay.
We don't need to get time.
I got top ring.
Well, a great little check-in there with the Boston Breach. Everybody talking, everybody very, very vocal, obviously, in the comm department. But really, Jay, it wasn't enough to break over a boat.
It definitely was not, but at least for Boston, they were able to flip those spawns with about 25 seconds left on that P2. So now they're going to be fully set up for this P3 hardpoint. You have Nero already opens up with that 2-piece to hold down top ring control. But Vivid trying to set up that pinch. It's going to allow for his teammates, as long as they win a couple gunfights from the front side, to execute a perfect break once again onto P3. And like I said, 7% break rate on a map like Gavutsu. They are getting it done on the most difficult hills. Florida break on into P3, 20 seconds remaining, and they have the spawns for P4.
Oh, and Vivid's got to be careful. Just trying to stay alive right now in the HP. A current battle for next, though, as player 8 sniffed out. Nero falls while Boston reclaimed control for those final few seconds. Florida did just enough to make this one competitive and put themselves in a position to take the lead. Take a look at the bottom left of your screen. The mini-map says it all. Florida ready and prepared as Boston slowly but surely make their way past that 50-yard line.
You have one player that's attacking from the back, which is going to be Methodz, and Nero opens up with 1 from Cliff. So now the pinch is in. You have to win key gunfights if you're the Florida Mutineers players. Vivid and Awakening answer the call. Vivid with 2. Even though Nero finds 2 of his own, he's able to break in, but that's still a successful hold from Florida Mutineers to hold down their initial push. Now only down by 10 seconds. 30 seconds remaining on this time. You know, if you're Boston, you have to challenge this from the front because you're basically securing those spawns for that P5. But Nero, once again, finds that 2-piece to open it up. Make it 3, make it all 4 in the feed. With 20 seconds left, Boston can pull away right now if they can trap him in the back.
Oh, and he is still frying.
My.
He is still frying, and it's the 40 in his hands as well on a 5 spree, eventually cut down. We thought how Florida could very easily take the lead on this hard point, and it turned in to an abyss in the backside of the spawns, 230 to 200. And once again, it is Boston in the favorable spot, as it's going to have to be a phenomenal break out of Florida. Capsidal hanging out toward the fence, tosses out a stun, gets out of dodge, and he's got a big smile on his face right now. Boston looking good to walk away with this opening HP, but Florida giving it their all, doing their best just to try and make this one as competitive as they can. And well, they're able to break on through. Boston just 5 more points, 6 more points, basically. I'm trying to round up right now, Jay, because it feels like this game is coming to a close, but Florida, they continue to answer.
Yeah, they're winning gunfight after gunfight. Skies has stepped up tremendously in this game. So far, Florida, we're able to break into this P5 and basically tie this game up, but now it all comes down to the rotation gunfight. DavePatty gonna be the player, attacking this through low beach. Huge one-on-one, and he's able to win it. So now they do have the numbers advantage. A 2v2 gonna come down to these gunfights right here.
They know that DavePatty's gotta be here, but he wins another one. DavePatty coming out clutch. 241 to 244. Capsule off of spawn. Eventually drops him a tie game as Florida runs on lead and awakening. It's Demon Joe in disguise. Takes down a few, but now it's Boston who break back inside of the HP. Florida have to try to contest. Nero falls. It is chaos on P1. It is chaos, and Florida somehow, some way, bring it back on Gavutu. They were down, but they make the comeback. An unbelievable recovery here in game number 1. A sweat off the brow from Awakening, and a very stunned Boston side. Just goes to show what an unreal moment that was.
Unreal plays from Florida Mutineers, especially DavePatty. The fact that it comes down to a 2v2 at the very end of that P1 or at the very end of that P5, those gunfights are massive. DavePatty wins a huge one-on-one towards lower beach and then just plays it so patiently on the flank to allow his teammate Skies to find that opening kill, and then eventually he finds a second. Then trades are going back and forth, but Vivid comes out on top with 3 of the kills to close out that map. Definitely a frustrating one of your Boston. You had the numbers, you put yourself in time and time again in a better position to try to close out this game, but to allow Florida with a 7% break rate on this map to break you twice on P3, once on that P5, and then the final time for that P1 to eventually close map number 1 between both of these teams.
Jay, I need you to keep spitting, buddy. I mean, what just occurred? Like, you could see the score. DavePatty, granted, he's on the flank, he makes a great play, but then we think, okay, Boston surely is going to read him. TJ doesn't spot him, and obviously it is chaos from that point on. But as you said, DavePatty at least gives his team that lifeline.
He does. So once they find those 2 opening kills, you see how Boston, they answer with 2 of their own, but Awakening goes massive to find that 2-piece to at least keep the trades apart between both of these teams. Now 246, 246. One player in Skies sneaks his way through the backside of top ring, finds that opening kill with the SMG, stalls enough time for Vivid to eventually get into play. Vivid finds that 2-piece and then closes it out with the 3rd. At least throughout this hard point, Vivid and Skies were really struggling. When you saw them in their last series, 0.85s, both of these guys stepped up in the final 2 minutes of that first hard point to close out this game for Florida because they needed it. Now they're going into a search and destroy where they have yet to beat Boston Breach in any of the maps. So far, 0-5 versus Boston in S&D. But when you're starting off 1-0 in a series, you're going to have a lot of momentum going into map number 2.
Yeah, and that's really what both teams are in a massive desire for right now, man. I mean, like we said, both teams 1-3. I mean, it feels like at times both of these organizations, these rosters have sat in that top 4, or rather top 6, maybe at times eclipse the top 5, top 4 position. It's frustrating to see that they both sit with a 1-3 record. And as you said, man, it really comes down to that opener. How do you play? How do you start off? Do you get the momentum in your favor? That has got to be another frustrating loss for the Boston side, and obviously a positive for Florida. No pun intended. Obviously, they've been testing positive for COVID lately. They're finally in their facility. I know there's obviously you can kind of get in your mentality when it comes down to you're playing sick. Obviously, you're not maybe in the best of headspace. Yeah. But for them to walk away with a W like that, I think does a lot for their confidence moving forward, just in general.
Yeah, it's massive for Florida because now they know that they really do struggle with S&D so far throughout this entire season, 2-8 in their last 10. But what specifically in this matchup, 0-5 versus Boston. So the fact that you open up with that opening hard point, you were on a 5-game win streak on that map, make it 6 now. And that was also a really good map for Boston Breach. The fact that they were able to take that respawn is massive for them. Now, just in case they do lose the Search and Destroy, they have a control Tuscan where both of these teams are basically sitting at 500. And then a little bit of control hardpoint as well, where Awakening, for some reason, he's like a man on a mission in that map, sitting at a 1.3. So right now, Florida have really set themselves up for success. And if you're Boston Breach, at least you look way better than you did yesterday versus the Thieves. 4-point game in map number 1, it's okay.
I was going to say, I think from our perspective, we're looking at it that way. I think from the players' perspective, they just look at it as another loss. But as you said, they got to get focused. They have got to get focused coming into this next Search Destroy, which obviously has been their best mode. Respawns have not been there. That now marks 1-5 in the Major 3 qualifiers for Boston Breach, without a doubt, regardless of how they come into the Toronto Major, whether it's in the winners or the elimination side. That HP has got to be cleaned up. But as we head into Bocage, obviously Boston, who has dominated Florida a majority of the time. I want to say this is also after they played not long ago. Yeah, Florida have not played Bocage Search Destroy since March, Jay. And the last time they lost it was to the Boston Breach, and it went to a round 11. So maybe there's a reason why they haven't played it in a while.
Well, saying that 0-2 on the season, obviously you want to try to expand your map pool as we get towards the later half of the year. But Florida Mutineers, going into this map, if you're Boston Breach, you're probably thinking, they've only played this map twice. This should be an easy one to cover, but there's not a lot of VOD sessions or a lot of VOD review where you can watch on Florida Mutineers. So I'm really curious to see how they play this. Awakening attacks aggressively through that lower tanks to find that first blood, but Nero evens it up, makes it a 3v3.
Yeah, as you said, not a whole lot of notes to take, maybe moving forward. Okay, Vivid, he just likes to become Spider-Man. It would appear on Bocage. Maybe in the LA Thieves type of note taking, that could be one for Florida moving on. But Boston able to get that plant down. Unfortunately, they do sit in a 2 versus 3. Methodz found out and taken down as Awakening. A hat trick to start off this bad boy. Nearly finds the ace, but it will have to be the ace on the other side for Nero, trying to check the bomb, and he gets dropped as well. Sky's there to beam him, and also on the defuse, and a retake out of Florida Mutineers, despite dropping in that first blood.
Yeah, that's massive for Florida, especially in Awakening, because on this map specifically, Awakening loves himself some Bocage S&D. A 1.3 and answers early into that round number 1 with that early first blood, and it eventually finds a 2-piece after that to give him 3 kills on the round. So Florida finding some early success on their defensive side. They're 50% on their defenses, 36% on their offenses. So this is going to be massive for them, because for Boston, it's completely opposite. Boston are 50% on their defenses, but a little bit slower on their offenses with an 80% win rate on neutral takes. So when they spread map, that's when they see a lot of success, but Awakening just shut it all down there.
Well, Florida says, hey, you know, we're not great on attack on Bocage, so how about we just forget about the bomb? How about we just leave that in the back of the spawn? Maybe that could be a strategy. Okay, maybe not. Awakening's like, all right, I'll do it. Regular, maybe Big Wick could be frustrated about it, but this is Demon Joe. He's happy to do everything for the team possible, but okay. Both teammates drop. Vivid and Dave Patty hit the deck instantly. And now that brings it to the good old duo, Awakening and Skies, now left to bring it back in a 2v4. Thankfully, though, Jay, they do have the bomb.
Yeah, 2v4 situation. See the way that Boston are playing this, just stand right by each other, the buddy system, so you can try to execute at least on this trade. Awakening is going to get spotted, but TJ runs right into the pre-aim of Sky. So now in a 2v3, still a lot of time to work with. Sky's trying to finesse his way through that lower B bomb. I think he might have just got great timing on Methodz as well. It's going to force it to a 2v2.
Oh, Awakening. He spotted Nero. He spots Nero through mid. Nero tries to dip on out, and unfortunately for Skies, he gets dropped. So Awakening now in a 1 versus 2, at least had an idea of where Nero descended. And now looks to plant down the bomb. Can he get this one off in time? He will, but going to be instantly challenged. Is the reaction going to be fast enough? Not going to be there. Nero takes him down. What looked like a very comfy 4v2 for Boston, then turns it into where the rookies have to go big, and thankfully they do.
Yeah, once it turns to that 2v2, it was a great job from Nero to just get out of the sight of Awakening, to not give him any information on where he potentially ran towards, as that sets up Capsidal towards lower tunnel to eventually find that pick onto Skies, force it to the 2v1. And then with about 20 seconds left, you know the player has to commit towards that bomb plant. Nero in a great position to shut that one down. Boston tied up at 1.
Us bring it to a 1-1. So far, that our Major III qualifiers, this has been the vets who have been on the struggle bus right now, combined for 1 and 4 through our first 2 rounds. But ultimately, at a 0.67 KD in the Major III qualifiers. Not what you expect when it comes down to Methodz and TJ, but see if they can try to turn it around. That consistency could help build something strong for Boston. As we said, those respawns not been great, but Search Destroy, it has been their backbone. Is Awakening is there to shut down Chef Tony. Now leaves it to a 3 versus 3. Well, Vivid, oh, nice little angle. Cuts down Cap through the wood. Unfortunately for him, Nero is there on the instant reply, picking up for his rookie comrade. 2v2.
Now to 2v2. Look at the positioning of TJ, but on bad timing right there for Awakening. Now makes it a 1v2. If you're Nero, just going to rotate this towards B and get this bomb down immediately. As he is on a 4 spree, having himself so far one hell of a series. On a 4 spree. 40 seconds to work with. aBeZy does spot him, at least get him 1 shot. He's able to at least get out with his life. So now Awakening has to know the setup. One player has to be sitting towards the back. TJ's going to get spotted. He's going to get the shots. And aBeZy gets taken down. Beautiful work once again from Boston Breach. Trades go back and forth in the middle of the map. But then it just comes down to Nero finding that kill. And then getting out with his life to rotate with that bomb plant. Boston now up to 1.
Look at you, Jay. I had a little technical difficulty and you just carried it on yourself.
Oh, good, pal.
It's
good,
okay, buddy. Maybe
right.
I just toss you a solo cast. Everyone, it happens a chance from time to time.
Nope.
You don't want it?
No, don't do that to me. Nope. That's chance
an
specialty.
S&D.
It can't be mine.
You are the Search Destroy specialist, my friend. You could do it. You want to take it? You want to take it to start off this round? You got it. Take it away.
Alrighty. Here we go. Nero. It's going to be the guy bottom front door. This time, Florida going to slow it down on their offenses. Going to have 3 players from Boston basically posted up by this B bomb because they know that Florida is going to try to work and play for some map control, play for some kind of information. As Methodz thinks that one player is going to be able to slip his way into tunnel. But Nero gives us his positioning. Now with the minute left, Boston is going to attack this through middle, and Nero's in a great position to at least get some kind of information. And I don't know if Lando's back, so I'm just going to continue on going.
I'm here, buddy.
Push is going to come in through gate. Awakening finds the first, and you're back. Okay. Awakening
back,
now.
Jay.
Makes it a 3v4.
Next to 3 versus 4. We are here, and so is Nero. Nice little 5 spree for him. 7-1 so far throughout this game in Florida. Quickly pivot over toward that A site, and now it's time for Capsidal to try interrupt, doing so for the first. 2 versus 3, Skies and Vivid. To try to hold this one down, they've got to keep Nero off of this streak. As Vivid finds one to start this off. Time continues to tick. Nero has to reposition, thankfully does. Escapes with his life for the time, but Sky's a great little pick. And now one more in his sights, and he'll also have some words there for Nero. Solid work out of Florida. They go for the rotation, and they hold.
Beautiful 2v3 from Vivid and Skies. Vivid finds the first to make it a 2v2, but when Nero was trying to play for that reposition, so was Skies. He works his way all the way up that B street, finds himself towards back tank to find that first angle onto the first player, and then they eventually shut down Nero as well, as he was on that kill streak working towards that glide bomb. Florida with some ice in their veins to at least make this 2-2. Back on the defense they go. Skies, you know what he does in Search and Destroy. So far sitting at 5-2 on this map. Right next to his AR duo in Awakening. It's looking like the push from Boston Breach though. Just going to take their time. Neutral setup, 80% win rate. Just try to play for some information.
Play for some information. Play for some picks. Really for Florida, they got to be careful. Make sure they don't give too much away as they stay very firm. Really inside the middle. You got 3 guys just hanging out in the marketplace. Meanwhile, it is Methodz, the sole man, over toward Waterside. Well, he sees an early death, and with that, Boston, now without their captain, are going to have to do it in a 3 versus 4. You've really got quite a bit of presence across the map. Capsule sits at B. Meanwhile, TJ finds the first, and Nero goes for the plant. So now, Nero called upon once more. Looked like he was hesitant to shoot, but ends up beaming him, and Capsidal Also finds one, gets information onto Awakening in a picture perfect round out of Boston Breach. They lose their captain, but they pick up right from where he leaves off.
That's good work from Boston, especially in the 3v4. They find that kill onto DavePatty, who was the player that was camping on backside A. But then the big gunfight of the round has to be Nero versus Vivid. As soon as Vivid breaks down that door from Tools, huge one-on-one, able to come out on top. Eventually allows Capsidal to push through that late flank at that B bomb. He takes down one, and then they trap Awakening on the steps towards top Grandma's. Beautifully executed around from Boston Breach, even in the 3v4.
And as we said, Jay, like I said, it's been the Young Guns throughout the Major III qualifiers and Search Destroy, and again, they are doing it. 5-3 for Cap, 8-2 right now for Nero. Has netted in that 3-2 advantage as Florida look to make an aggressive hit over toward this A site, but again, it is Nero once more, nearly a double digits, and thankfully for Florida, a sweat off the brow as you can recognize and realize that the all-star of Bocage is finally off of the map. But technically, the king of the cage still remains Capsidal. Hanging out toward the top side of Grandma's. It very well could be the one problem that Florida has still got to deal with.
Oh, and Capsidal, he doesn't look down. Gets caught right there with his pre-aim on. Is not able to spot Awakening as he was one shot. Now it's a 3v1, all left up to TJ. And that is just a complete breakdown from Boston. It looked like both teams completely switched sides. Like Florida was on defense, Boston was on offense. Well, how fast they were able to take back control on both sides of the map. But right there, if Capsidal gets that kill, it's probably a totally different round, but he's just not able to spot him. Eventually allows Vivid to flank through that middle gate, find that two-piece to close out the round. Definitely frustrating if you're Capsidal right there.
It looks so good, Jay. It looks so good what they had going. And obviously the automaton a little too burly, covered up the screen. Rather unfortunate. As we now bring ourselves to a 3-3. Don't know how we've got here, but we are here indeed. Capsidal sliding, gliding. Whether top Grandmas or bottom Grandmas, he and Grandma have a great relationship with each other. And he'll also take down DavePatty, who I still believe has yet to get a kill in this Bocage Search Destroy. Untypical stuff from Mr. Paddington, but now brings it all to Skies. A quick 1v4 now made to a 1 versus 3. Still has to trek across Bocage just to even have a chance at this round. And the chance will come to an end. Methodz there to drop him. Boston getting some of that momentum back.
Yeah, Boston, no hesitation right there on that push. It was just go, go, go into bottom Grandma's. And it all starts with Capsidal winning that gunfight versus Vivid. I can't believe he won that. Like, slide right around the corner, you're pre-aiming, and the guy just is able to come out on top in that gunfight. Beautiful pressure from Boston to now go up 4-3. With a round like that, it's going to definitely slow down the way that Florida are going to attack this map.
It's going to at least slow the way that DavePatty's playing, because
he needs some help.
He needs a kill. He needs a kill. He needs a pick. And obviously, you know this, Jay. Like, it weighs on your mind. Like, you know, you're obviously aware whenever you're in game of the fact that, hey, we're a few rounds in and I've yet to get a kill. So I definitely need to do that. Bring the teammates back. And okay. Oh, there it is. That's all you needed. Slow things down. DavePatty, I have no idea how he spots Capsidal, but he's able to do it. And with that, Florida off of that pick, firmly make their way over toward this A site. However, Nero ready, steady, and prepared. Able to drop one. The fast SMG of the Mutineers has been silenced. And because of that, Nero will hold them up, and TJ in a great position to maybe find another.
Yeah, right there, Florida. They said, we do not want to turn in this corner and potentially run into a team fire, but Nero not slowing down. Goes from that A bomb all the way to B and finds so far 2 kills in this round. Now with 30 seconds left, Florida have to try to take care of them. They do just so. So now in the 2v2. Gonna wrap this bomb all the way back to A. And I don't know if TJ was able to spot him, but DavePatty's just gonna work his way right into bottom Grandma's. TJ should be ready for it. Big one-on-one from TJ to come out on top. Now with 12 seconds left, the bomb is gonna be down, but Awakening at least forces to a 1v1.
He's gonna go for the plant, but right when he gets here, hello! Oh my gosh, Jay. That was terrifying for Methodz, especially. Like, Methodz is like, cool, I'm gonna get out of the way. Awakening's surely gonna look for me. And then it's like, okay, quick challenge. And Awakening nearly with the rat. We know how terrifying that weapon can be in close quarters. Nearly drops him, but thankfully, for Boston. If you are a fan of the breach, they escaped with that round, but it was not easy. We keep saying awakening. It is Demon Joe who is clearly on the map right now.
Oh, it's got to be Demon Nero even more because he's taking over
true.
every single round, 2-piece after 2-piece. Now 1 round away for Boston Breach to close out this map. Capsidal unfortunately is going to get blooded, but who else? Who none other than Nero to at least even up the numbers. Forces it to a 3-3. Skies finds 1, but he knows the positioning of Awakening. It should be a 2v2 if he picks up this kill. Yes, he does. So now with a minute left, bomb down at mid gate. Methodz and Nero versus DayPaty and Skies.
I feel like if you're Methodz, it's just like, all right, Nero, just go out. Do what you need to do,
what do
buddy.
you want to do, buddy?
Yeah, what do you want to do, and how can I help you? How can help me help you helping us? Boston, 1 round away from making it a quick 1v1, or rather a 1-1 in the series. Trying to get that Gavutsu out of their minds. That close loss, the continuous struggles in the respawns. Can search, destroy, make it all better. Nero with 1. Skies eventually trades. Skies versus Methodz. It looks like Zinni is eyeing up that B site. Makes his way through bottom grandma. Skies still holds the angle through middle. I don't know if he spotted him, Jay.
So the bomb is going to get planted towards B. Methodz is just going to try to take lower trenches side. It's going to be a complete flop where both of these players were at the beginning of this round. Huge one-on-one for Methodz to try to secure this map win for his team. Skies just trying to check out every corner, every single angle where he could potentially be, but Methodz with the beams, able to clutch up the 1v1 for Boston. Now tie the series up at 1 apiece.
And a massive turnaround. Obviously, if you're Boston Breach, as we said, they continue their spree versus Florida. As that's now what, Jay, 6-0 in S&D versus this team on the year. And I know we talked about a lot, you know, when you are in the game, you know, when you are winless, right, DayPaty, and you have to get a kill for a little while, it weighs on your mind. It's kind of weigh in the minds of the Mutineers. They have yet to see a W next to their name versus Boston in this very game mode. DayPaty did have that 1 round where he turned things up a little bit, but ultimately finishes off 2-8. But this game has Nero's name written all over it. A 14-5 performance. And the one thing too, Jay, that we talked about, right? Obviously, Demon Joe Awakening, he said that he was coming out to fry today. When you see Nero starting off, and regardless, he plays well in that Gavutsu, plays well in the Bocage Search Destroy. It is not a good sign for any roster that exists in the CDL when Nero is playing this confident.
It definitely isn't, man. When he is hot, he is on point. He's just nonstop aggression, running around with the 40 in his hands, popping 2 or 3 pieces like it's absolutely nothing. Like right there, you seen Florida. They were probably getting a majority of those flush bros in that S&D, but Nero was always there to at least even up the numbers and then eventually find 2. Closes out that map 14-5. Like you said, had a great map number 1, followed by a great map number 2. So far, he's answering the call for this Boston Breach team to try to secure the winner's bracket at Toronto.
Yeah, man, he's been the answer. As you said, buddy, this is the finals spot on the line. If you get through this match, if you walk away with this W, you're going to be in the winner spot, and you get the very last one possible going into the Toronto Major. You win, and you're in. Boston versus Florida has only just begun, folks. When we come back after the break, it is time for Control on Tuscan.
Call of Duty League is brought to you by Zenny. Armor your eyes with Block's gaming glasses starting at $24 by visiting zenny.com/CDL. The Call of Duty League is brought to you by Game Fuel. Victory in a can. Upgrade your game with a Scuff, the official controller of the Call of Duty League.
Hi friends, and welcome back to the final day of our Major III qualifiers, and this is the match to watch right now, as it will decide who is getting that final position in the winner's bracket come Toronto Major time, which is only just a week away. But as we fly in for Tuscan Control, we've got ourselves a 1-to-1 series. And Jay, you just told me in the commercial break that you feel like this control on Tuscan is going to define the entire series.
Yeah, this control for me, for both of these squads, is going to be massive, because obviously on one side, if you're Boston Breach, you have that game 5 if you're able to lose this following by your Tuscan hardpoint game. But then you see the stats for Nero. So far, he's been absolutely frying. If you're Florida, they need this respawn because they've been struggling so bad in Search and Destroy versus Boston. They do not want to get all the way to that game 5. So this match is going to be massive for both of these squads.
It will be indeed. Nero trying to go for the clever strats.
Oh my God.
A great beginning to this series for Nero. And the problem for Boston is that they've got the Roman Empire on his playground. The Italian streets is where we're going to be for our next 2 games. As Florida at least able to recompose themselves while Vivid falls, at least gives that calm, shuts down the early strat to try to make that B hit. And from that point on, it has been Boston trying to get out of their base. As Awakening looks to stand in their way, a great little double. Now make it a 5 spree, a 5-0 start right now for Demon Joe. Maybe in the place where he likes to find himself quite often. Right now, lingers and fire, makes his way toward the fountain.
Oh.
Everybody getting beamed, everybody getting dropped. Does not earn the glide bomb, but 40 seconds left. Boston have got to get to one of these zones fast.
Yeah, they got to get to one of them. Just so much map control right now for Florida. Before Capsidal is able to just slide right through the middle and find a 2-piece to open it up now for Boston. Able to stop that clock with 31 seconds. If you're Florida, you want to try to contest this at least a little longer. Because you know, if you get at least 1 clean 4 dead, you could potentially hold them from not completing this A capture. Just based off of the way that they set up, they're going to give this one up to Boston. They are up by 1 life. And the 2 players that really stand out on this map for me is going to be Methodz. He sits on this map specifically at a 1.3, Awakening at a 1.2.
Oh, gosh.
Both of these guys having a hot start to this map.
Just speaks to the level of talent that we've got in the CDL nowadays, Jay. It's like every time that we talk about a certain, player here or there, we hear like these 1.3, 1.4 type of KDs. Impressive stuff. Some absolute sluggers on either side of the stage. Just now Nero trying to apply some pressure in the back of the base. Eventually dropped, eventually thwarted, but it could leave an opening. It could leave an opening now for Vivid as he runs his way right on through, but Capsidal again with the automaton. The beams from Gavutu have found their way now to Tuscan. I don't know how that's possible, but hey. Maybe the climate's somewhat similar, maybe in distance, not as far away as we like to think, but a minute off the clock. Florida, a few nice efforts and trying to hold off this Boston attack as 3 drop instantly. You cannot ask for better than that. Capsidal, the sole man alive.
Yeah, Capsidal, your job is to just stay alive. At least stall some time for your teammates to try to get closer to you, or at least execute this break. You have a couple Boston players who run right by Awakening, but he's going to be ready for it. Not able to get third onto Nero. There's only gonna be 35 seconds, 9 lives remaining, and it looks like the first tick is actually gonna be completed by Boston. Oh no, they actually do not complete it, so that's massive for Florida, as they're gonna be able to win a couple of these trades, keep control of P5. Now with 30 seconds left, it's gonna be all on Methodz. What can he do for his team with the push from the back?
See if he goes for the full flank. Maybe he's gonna wait for Capsidal through field side. That way they can beat 2 men strong. Vivid still holding. As Dave Patty drops, he knows he has to try and reposition Boston. They've yet to fall. TJ ends up getting picked apart, but it's still Boston right now with numbers as they erupt for a moment. Methodz and Nero, great work to pick things up. As Florida get the spawns on the other side of the map, you got to be in mind of those respawns. A current 3 versus 3. TJ drops. The lifeline that Boston were looking for has fallen. But at the same time, Breach continue to win their fights. Current 2 versus 2. It's Search Destroy right now on Tuscan, and really every single one of these ticks is a benefit right now for Breach. Skies is able to find one onto Nero, eventually takes down Methodz as well. But despite that, Jay, Boston Breach, I mean, of course, you're looking for the round victory, but the amount of ticks that they got toward the end, that was massive.
Yeah, that's massive for Boston to complete those 2 segments. So now that puts them up 5 ticks. Makes it a little bit more difficult for Florida to work on their offensive side. This comes down to a 2v2 to close out that round number 1. Now, if you're Boston, just gotta keep up that same pace. Not give up this A capture so easy and allow Florida to have like 2 minutes to work with. It's gonna be all out battle, at least through the middle of the map. Trying to at least find this opening kill. Both teams are playing really patient, but Capsidal, he attacks first with the first one.
Great little poke of aggression there out of Capsidal. aBeZy eventually makes him pay. I mean, it is standard stuff so far in Tuscan. It's all about focusing your attention today. Maybe a few interesting moments of that B zone off the rip, but it's almost written in stone now on Tuscan as Awakening does fall from the flank. It's going to be that A capture at some point. I don't know what the exact rate is on how many teams have got the full capture, but it's got to be at least at 90% in the CDL this particular qualifier, as Florida eventually able to stabilize. Unfortunately, though, Methodz still hiding out behind one of these many statues that you could rely upon if you are the defensive side. Florida finally able to get that tick and more specifically stop the clock, but again, Boston not slowing down the pressure.
Yeah, but Sky's in a great position from top church, at least able to cut down both of those players. Trying to attack this through the middle of the map. He gets the 3rd as well. So now this is going to set up the rotation for Florida to try to chain this over, at least for some map control at that B point. We do have one player. It's all the way pushed out towards the roof, but aBeZy takes care of him. So now they're fully set up for the pinch. Nero has to try to go massive from top plat. He's patiently waiting in that corner for aBeZy, but he's setting up his teammate in Vivid to at least tack this from the back. He gets shut down, and Boston, they hold the first push.
They hold the first push. Awakening still here, and thankfully he also has Skies to rely upon. So, like I said, it is that kind of chain effect when you are the defense. Have one player at least pushed up in a church and basically usher them into that enemy spawn. Great job from Awakening to find one. Skies tries to slide down the stairs, but he eventually gets dropped. And again, it's Awakening, the sole player who's been at this B zone for quite some time, Jay. Can he get some real help as he has to back on up? Florida doing a great job, or rather, excuse me, Boston doing a great job at staggering these pushes. Awakening eventually falls, and Florida, it's back to the drawing board as they now sit all around that P5 position. I say back to the drawing board, okay. Drawing board tossed out the window. They are here. They're ready. They're prepared. Guns, nades, fists flying inside of the feed right now, but Florida really yet to get anything in terms of these players on Breach who just continue to sneak on through.
Yeah, with 30 seconds left, even though Boston are down by 3 lives, the biggest thing for them is that they're not giving up any segments. So far, been a great hold on defense, but this is going to be the last push from Florida. Going to attack this straight from P5. One player down TJHaly. Awakening and Skies are able to find 2. So this could potentially be the opening, but with TJ finding that second kill. With 12 seconds left, all you have to do is just make sure you keep on trading every single gunfight. Only 2 players that are close enough to at least touch this point for Florida. They all get taken down by Methodz as he finds a 3-piece in the feed to close out this defensive round for Boston. And now they tied up at 1 apiece.
You're tied up at 1 apiece. Big stuff out of Boston. Obviously, they'll have that advantage moving forward in terms of the ticks, but recently in the Major III Qualifiers for Breach, I mean, really control throughout the season, Jay, has been a struggle for them. We always remember the constant round 5s that they went to when it was based off of kills instead of ticks. The amount of round 5 losses that they had on Gavutu were pretty staggering, but 1-3 so far throughout our Major III Qualifiers in this very game mode. Obviously an expected round, but a good start. Consider they are up 2 right now in the overall ticks. In the overall segments, Capsidal trying to keep that slaying frenzy afloat, trying to overwhelm the side of Mutineers and get this A zone done and dusted. And right now it looks to be exactly the case. Only what, 11 seconds have ticked off the clock, and that's about to be the A zone already in the hands of, in the hands of Boston.
Yeah, Florida completely shocked it. They said, no, we didn't win our first initial gunfights. We just went 3 down right off the rip. We're just going to give it up and set up properly around P5. Force all of Boston to try to attack this from field. So far, they're doing a great job of doing so as they're able to find 2 kills. But the two players dropping on the opposite side of the map. See number 2 that's all the way pushed out, which is going to be DayPatty. He's influencing these spawns for Boston to continuously try to overextend through that field side. They're doing a great job of it. They find a couple kills. They're going to eventually take that church control. But they still just have to focus on the positioning of DayPatty. He's going to be set up for that flank whenever he wants.
It's like the third gunfight that Methodz has had where he's basically just headbutting enemy. I don't know if anybody else has noticed that. It's something that I have picked up on. See if he and Vivid look to get extra close. Nope. Methodz prefers the range, especially with the automaton. It works out quite nicely. This guy's receiving the effects of that as he eventually gets dropped by the nade. So board cleared for the moment. And Boston are hot on this attack. Awakening looks for the reposition, and Methodz is like, yeah, Capsidal, you're not going to go too much farther. Or maybe having a little bit of a better game than me, at least maybe so far in this series. Time to cut down the stats as now it's Awakening again, put in a position to go on off, and he will do exactly that, the turn and burn for the double. A 3-streak right now for Big Wake as the time continues to tick away. Boston looking for an answer.
And Boston are just completely, every single time off offense, overextending. They don't have a single player that's wrapping back towards P5 to try to set up this pinch. They're trying to win their gunfights in towards Church. And so far, they have every single player in this position now up a man with 40 seconds left. Methodz finds a second. So now if all falls onto DayPatty and Vivid, who are farthest pushed up towards that top plat, Boston able to stop that clock with 32 seconds left.
Stop the clock for the moment, but here comes Methodz. Here comes Methodz.
What a pinch.
The lovely flank. The pinch is in Florida. Hot on the reply. All 4 players come sprinting out of spawn, but right into the weapon of Methodz again, who cuts down his third. Eventually does get taken down, but his presence is felt. 1 tick already grabbed for Boston. You can be happy about that, but while they do get wiped across the board, 20 seconds left. Can they get a second tick and continue to be a problem for the Mutineers? The exact same situation happened in the prior attack for Boston. Little moments where they've been able to secure what looks like it could be a round 5 defense. There goes the wipe again. Nero tries to turn, but Vivid goes massive with a double. Capsidal falls as well, and Florida thankfully do not allow for much more of that B zone to flow. 1 tick, they give it away. And as we said, a more conscious effort this time around on defense for the Mutineers.
And I'm pretty sure with Boston picking up that 1 segment right there, puts them now up by 6. So as long as they are not getting outslayed in this game, as long as they don't completely get world start in this round, they should have secured themselves the defense going into that round number 5. So this is like a back-to-back offensive thing from Florida. You need to try to win this, or at least win an offense in 2 rounds that you have. Because they're going to put early pressure on towards A. We saw the first round, Boston at least caused them a lot of problems trying to complete this A capture early. But this time they're going to at least win that initial gunfight onto TJ towards field. Vivid finds a second. Capsidal should be able to get taken care of through middle. But he actually stays alive and gets a kill before he does not drop. It's going to be Florida. Second tick about to be done. Boston are going to try now to set up around that P5 area to not allow them to get that control.
Oh my goodness, Vivid. He has come out with a point to prove. They will leave that A zone vacant and instantly go for the attack onto that B zone. A current 4 versus 3 advantage, and they are hot and heavy in the spawns. Are Boston going to be able to read this? As Skies finds 2, Vivid finds the 3rd, and Florida, they have opened up the spigot, and they're receiving all the benefits. That B zone is flowing for the moment. And Breach have got to be careful. Breach have got to be careful. 3 fall. Methodz off the spawn. Is just trying to stay alive, trying to reposition, and as he does, he sees that that B zone has gone the opposite way. Enjoy your double kill as Florida have come to play. They've got that B zone and now only have 1 more at A and 2 minutes on the clock to work with.
2 minutes to work with, up by 7 lives. So if you're Florida, you can basically play TDM. Try to get some kills, or at least get a 2 to 3 dead to complete that 1 segment. Awakening and the rest of the Florida boys are going to commit towards the flank, towards back church. Capsidal has to try to go big. He at least takes down 2 before he drops. That eventually sets up Methodz and Nero to find the last 2. Now all of Florida coming off the spawn. And you have Vivid, who actually makes his way into his U. So he's going to be the player at least to stop the clock, but he gets taken down. And Boston, they hold.
This is not going to be easy, as we said. Like, when it comes down to that A zone, it is almost free segments for the attacking team. It just feels like a matter of time. But can that Boston defense be perfect? Can they hold the line and guarantee that round 5, the more favorable spot of the two? As TJ, look through his perspective right now, a lot of visuals, a lot to think about. Holding cut, holding mid, holding a lot of power positions. As Awakening and Skies both combined for a double. That zone begins to float. Nero with a sense of urgency gets dropped, and well, TJ off the spawn. He and Methodz are gonna be the first players here, but it does not look as if that is going to matter. Florida have to win the attack, and they do exactly that. Incredible stuff out of the Mutineers as they came prepared in that round.
That was such a beautiful attacking round for Florida to complete those 2 segments at A, but then they were not going to try to complete A. They know that we're basically going to have back-to-back offenses to close out this map if we get to that round number 5. They completely transition over towards B. They find every single kill in the feed, and then when they had the 2 people on point, the 2 people that were coming off of a spawn, Awakening sets himself up top plat to cut off TJHaly. He finds 2. The player that comes off spawn cuts off top radio. He finds another kill. And then the last player up, which was Methodz, who attacks top radio later throughout that round, he finds that 2-piece. But Florida at that point already close at that B point. Now they have 1 segment to complete at B. That was a beautifully executed round from Florida to now take a 2-1 lead in this series. They're in the driver's seat now.
They are indeed. And you saw Awakening not just with the most kills on the team, the greatest KD, but also with the most tiers captured as well for the Mutineers. The man really did it all in this Tuscan. And the scary thing too, Jay, is that he's not just great on Tuscan control, he's also fantastic on this upcoming Tuscan HP, which I'm sure is going to put some fear in the back of the minds for the Boston boys. But still, I mean, what, it just comes down to that final round, man. The way that Florida were able to just be composed, right? They recognize we got 2 ticks a day. Screw it. Let's just instantly make the play for that B zone. And perfectly coordinated were Florida in that very, very important moment.
And now Florida find themselves up 2-1. If you're Florida, you need to close it out in this next hard point. Yeah. So far, you were 2-0 in the respawns. Vivid has not gone positive, and the crazy stat from the keys to victory, even for me, like 19-4 when Vivid goes positive. So if this guy can put up some better numbers, they will be able to close out these respawns a lot easier. But Florida have some well-talented assault rifle players. Awakening really going massive in that map. Like I said before, map started at 1.2 on Tuscan control, and it only gets a little better. Like you said, going into this Tuscan hardpoint, a 1.26.
Oh my goodness.
For Awakening. Demon Joe so far answered in that map number 3 to now put his team up 2-1.
Yeah, and like I said, it really comes down to that control. And
yeah,
the big thing too, Jay, that we always talk about with the Florida Mutineers is that they're either getting 3-0'd or they're 3-0'ing another team, which basically means that they're either obviously dominant or they are getting dominated. Obviously, you could really, I think when we look at the KDs, obviously the control is going to favor the Mutineers for the moment, but ultimately throughout this series, I feel like it's been somewhat back and forth. Like we talked about the opening Gavutu, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, obviously Florida steals away that game, so this very well should be Boston up 2-1. But I feel like going into this next Tuscan HP, this is also a very scary territory for the Mutineers because, Jay, they don't go to game 5s often. Like the stat, I think it was like game 5s. I think they're like the second, like they had the second fewest game 5s in the entire CDL. They have like an unbelievably poor performance in round 11s. Like you do not want to see this game 5 if you're Mutineers, because as we said, it's either they are frying or they're getting destroyed. They do not see that 5th game very often. And what on Berlin, that's also a strong win for Boston too, man. Like, I feel like this is a must win if you're the Mutineers. You win this game, cool, great, you're through. You lose it, and I don't know what the percentages drop to, but I'm sure it's not great for them either.
Well, if I'm Florida, right off the rip, if we end up in this game 5, I'm going back to yesterday when the Thieves were able to play Boston on this map and 6-0 them. Like, put Vivid in the situation where Envoy was, because to have a flawless search and destroy game versus Boston Breach, who are one of the top 3 search and destroy teams that we have in this game, that was beautiful from them. You just have to take that page, basically print it on your side of the game plan, because that is the way you want to see success. But obviously, you don't want to get there. You want to try to close this out because you've just been struggling versus Boston and S&D. 0-6 now. Like you said, game 5s, they're 0-5. Round 11s, 0-4. Have no ice in their veins. You need to try to close it out right here if you're Florida.
Yeah, I didn't know what the stats were. Thankfully, you got him, but yeah, that's pretty terrifying. As you said, basically a must-win. If you are the Mutineers, you do not want to see that game 5. But when it comes down to Tuscan HP, I mean, who do you look out for from the Boston side? I mean, I feel like it's almost basic to call out. I don't know, maybe like a player like Nero at this moment, just because I feel like he's always the X factor. But is he that guy for you who has to step up, or is it somebody else for the Breach team?
I don't think he has to step up. I just think he has to continue playing at the level that he's playing at, man. The aggression, the pacing, nonstop 2 pieces left and right. He was 12 kills. I mean, he had 14 kills in that search and destroy, and 12 of them were non-traded kills. Like, the guy's putting himself in one-on-one engagement and coming in on top every single time. So I'm looking at him to continue on with the great series that he's already having. And then on the opposite side, we know that Awakening is great on this map. But the player for me that has to step in to at least relieve the pressure from Nero has to be Vivid. He is the only SMG, but on a map like Tuscan, this is where Vivid can really take over for his team and try to close this series out.
Yeah, I know that you mentioned the stat like just after that last control that we had, but it's true, man. 19-4. Florida are 19-4 in respawns when Vivid is positive. Like, that is insane. An unbelievable stat line, and that just goes to show the firepower that the Mutineers team have. If they can get that extra piece, that extra, SMG talent, where obviously he's one of the faster players in the game, but if he's winning a majority of his engagements, that is where this Mutineers team more specifically strikes gold. Because like we said, folks, we've got that Tuscan HP ready to go here in just a few moments. Mutineers, I'm sure, barking out orders, just trying to remain composed, stay calm coming into this next one. As we said, this is the first time they've probably been able to see each other in a long time. They've been not in the facility lately. I think their last 2 series, they've been on COVID protocols, as a lot of them have been testing positive. So we are happy to hear that they are back, ready to go, test negative, and in that facility again. But on the other side for Boston Breach, it is a must-win type of game. It just feels like mentality-wise, considering the fall from grace that they have had, my man.
100%. And then when you're going into this map specifically, this is not really a good map for Boston. On this map, they are last in their hold percentage, sitting at 57%. And you know how easy that can be on a map like Tuscan if you're not holding down some of these money hills like that P1 or even like the P3, because at least on the opposite side for Florida, they're great from P3s to P5. But let's take a look at our top performers so far in Hardpoint. Awakening sitting at a 1.15. And then the opposite side, you have Methodz. The AR battle between both of these guys. Methodz obviously having a standout performance throughout Stage 2 that boosts his KD like this. But so far throughout Stage 3, sitting at a 0.93, has really been struggling for the team. The young guns have been stepping up. And Awakening, you saw his tweet today. Everybody watches on the Bluebird. When Awakening tweets he's on Demon Time, he's always going to put on a show. He did it in that map number 3. Now going into this map number 4, like I said, if Boston do not answer with great hold on some of these hard points, Florida will be able to break on in and then also close out this map in 4.
Yeah, as you said, man. Awakening having himself a day. I know Hannah loves it, and so do we. We love it when Demon Joe arrives, because when he does, it is absolutely terrifying. Can Boston, however, have somewhat of a reply? Can they send us to a game 5, or is this where Florida claims their victory and makes it into that winner's bracket, moving into the Toronto Major? Something to keep in mind. Boston has yet to go to that elimination bracket at either of our majors. They've seen winners both times. Can they go 3 for 3? It's going to take a clutch game 4 and a game 5 victory from the boys of Breach. As you saw the stats flash there, it feels like Vivid, the spotlight is on him on the flank now.
That was such a beautiful play from Vivid, because when you find that opening kill in towards bottom church, you're immediately going to look at side church when you're at field, expecting that flank to come in immediately. But then Vivid, he takes his time to at least time it on the late flanks for all those Boston players to come off spawn, and eventually hits that pinch, allows his team to basically hold this P1 for a full 60. Now Vivid off the rotation, able to sneak his way past a bunch of the Boston Breach players, and this is going to catch him completely off guard. Here he is. He finds the first. He's going to be able to find the second, and that should be able to flip the spawns for the Florida Mutineers. Oh my God.
Man is going off right now, hitting route after route. He has 0 seconds of hill time, but obviously you can see what it's doing for the rest of the roster. He is lightening the load right now of the Mutineers as they are off to a 50-0 start. Boston, TJ, get in the hill. Get some points on the board because you need them, especially when Vivid is right in your face. Okay, Dave Patty takes him out the nade. That kind of ruined the line a little bit, but it's all right, Jay. Boston, Maybe gonna give a nice little handshake to Dave Patty after this game is over. Thank you very much, Mr. Paddington, helping us out, getting some more points on the board. Thankfully, Boston able to stabilize, and like I said, Jay, a lot of that is based off of that team nade that unfortunately comes through.
Yeah, because Vivid would have definitely found that kill. Dave Patty said, "Oh, you started off this game a little too hot. Don't usually see you positive in our respawn, so I'm gonna try to team kill you, at least to take you down." But at least for Florida, they're gonna be fully set up for this P3. And Florida on this map specifically are #1 in their rotation win percentage, sitting at 64%. So you're gonna, majority of the time, find them early set up for all these hills. As now Boston are attempting the break. Third in break percentage on this map are the Breach. But when Vivid and the rest of the boys on Florida are shooting like this, that's going to be 3 down in the feed. They hold the first push. Now they're going to have some uncontested time for at least good 10 seconds.
Right now the Mutineers are just trying to fill the gap. They know the positions where Breach are going to try to make their way in from, whether it's middle alley or whether it's through fire, through Ivy, whatever it will be. Boston, they catch that first kill, and from there they break open the setup. A wonderfully well-placed team fight there out of the Breach. Well, they do get taken down. For the moment, Methodz is still hanging out. Skies goes for the team kill in another big situation where Florida has got some points to get on the board. A team kill comes through, and it will award the opposite end, where Boston very firmly are back in this game, only going to be down by about 8 seconds as we come in to this next rotation. It's going to be the Mutineers here nice and early, but Boston not far behind.
Capsidal, big kill. Nero follows with the second, so that's going to be 3 dead. What would look like Florida fully set up off the rotation. 2 players, the young guns on the SMG side, able to find every single kill to flip these spawns. Now for Boston to have the favorable side, you're going to have Florida trying to attack this from the front. Capsidal just going to hold down this field, allow his teammates to just flood on through, play the trades, and hopefully come out on top, as the game is basically almost going to be tied. Boston right back into this game. But Florida, they know it's going into a P5. We're going to fight for every single amount of junk time we can.
Capsidal off to a great start. As we said, played excellent when it came down to the Gavutsu and realizes how important his life is. The teammates trying to bait for him. We'll see if that bait does eventually work out on the 6th spree. Gonna try to contest this for the final second. Wants to play for the glide. He's got Dave Patty in his sights, and there you have it. Glide bomb earned there for Big Cap. A massive thing to think about for Boston throughout this game. The Young Guns have had a phenomenal performance and have brought them back, it feels like, in a number of different moments throughout this series. Can they do it again in this game 4? And really, can Cap keep up this 7th spree? No.
Oh, he cannot. Caster Curse right there comes in at full effect. Now it's on TJ to at least hold down his position. Nero and TJ combined for all 4 kills in the feed to hold down this setup for P5. Now Boston should be able to take this lead. Now Florida have to force themselves off that rotation. Vivid with a massive trade onto Nero, but Capsidal has that glide bomb to work with. It's going to make it a little bit easier this time around for Boston to find the break.
His last few seconds are hit. It's now TJ trying to go for the routes. He now sits on a 4 spree. This could be back-to-back glide bombs if TJ plays his cards right. Basically an even game as we head in toward P1. Methodz ultimately there for the trade and happy to net Boston some of these early seconds. As we like to discuss, those seconds in a rotation, P1s act as money hills. Not often in this game do you talk about P1s being the money hills, but hey, on this map it just happens to be that way. Capsidal ready and prepared, is able to drop a few off of spawn, helping really the Breach just have a much easier time inside of the HP. Trades back and forth as Boston look to try to hold off the flurry of fire, the nades, the tacticals, and ultimately the automaton shots that continue to rain throughout Tuscan. The job done for the moment. A very, very neck and neck game as the Mutineers very well look to tie this game coming into our next rotation. Let's step aside and go to a listen now with Florida.
Get on my side, you for a second.
They could have, I'm pretty sure they're hitting on P5.
Yeah, they're gonna be P5. Might slow play P5, okay?
Yeah, I gotta wait for noise here.
I'm looking at top church.
I think he's in the hole, bro.
Yo, they're gonna be bottom church.
Radio dead.
Nice, Cap's gonna play top prime.
Yeah, I'm on P5 right now.
Yeah, I didn't stun him. He's
top
top,
hill.
go back over you.
Just sit outside. Pitching on.
Radio door.
Yo, back truck.
Radio.
Let's go.
Down the backside of hill, two of them.
Oh, back tower alley.
Hill, watch out, TJ.
He's in the box corner.
Yeah,
Box
I
corner.
need him. Slow down. We're good.
Balcony's in dead.
There's no one in no one. It was Nero.
Yep.
Yeah, on the stairs. He's going back to you, point.
I'm top.
Yeah,
We're
looking for
dead.
we're
Point,
doing-
point,
They hold together. They're dead.
I need
There's
help.
two on it.
I need help.
Alright.
There's two.
Yeah,
Two
they're
below.
across.
I need to
Point.
help. Go.
Two truck, 1 point. Two truck, 1 point. Nice. Truck on the truck.
I need him.
On the truck. One going down.
Give me an off one.
Watch your tower, watch your tower.
He can shoot from TJHaly.
No, we're good.
No, buy me, Valk.
Yeah, backing up.
Listen, there's two on hold.
Roll the scrap.
There, you guys are spawn out.
Joe, he went mid.
They could be blue.
I'll get help.
You guys can blue, Joe.
Okay.
I'm gonna help Røkkr probably.
They can well help.
Need
Yeah.
I have well
Stay
help
off marches if you can.
Hey, I'm laying down. Yo, sit up. Let me die.
Yep.
You're in spawn out, Caesar.
It's fine.
What's top here somewhere?
3, don't worry about it.
3. I fucked up. Got Eddie well.
Yeah,
Blue.
Yo, Røkkr back.
And the comms are clean on the side of Florida. The only thing is, Boston had a beautiful setup at that P2 to get a majority of that time, and they also used that glide bomb beautifully off that rotation to now flip these spawns and get a good chunk of time off of this P3. Do they read the play in Sky? Sky sneaks his way through the back. He eventually does get taken down. So Florida, they're able to flip the spawns right on back, come out on top in the gunfights. Now with 20 seconds left, this is a much needed time for them to get back in the game.
It is a much needed hill if you're the Mutineers, and Boston try to contest this for the final 15. I was gonna say, Vivid thankfully wins that gunfight, but it does leave the window of opportunity as Skies is doing some interesting movement. Be looking for a nice little line of sight for the backside of the breach spawn. But right now it is Boston in the more favorable spot. A break here for the Mutineers very well breaks open this game and maybe even gives them the advantage. The player to look out for with Skies. Well, he falls, and now it's going to come down to a headbutt inside of the church. Methodz trades for one. Boston ultimately seeing the success from it. However, the Mutineers are hot and heavy on the prowl. Awakening and Dave combined with 2. Nero on the instant engagement finds a nice little double. 3 will fall. And the trades once again favor the team with the spawns. Breach past that 200-second mark.
Nero is just flying and frying right now. So confident in all of his gunfights. You can just tell by the way that he's playing. His Capsidal finds 2. All 4 dead now in the feed. It's going to force Boston to not have that easy rotation with all of Florida spawning out towards field. Should be able to break that 225. Only 25 points left for Boston to be able to close out this map number 1. They're going to try to put pressure on towards top roof, not to set up that potential pinch coming in. Florida take down 2, but Capsidal and TJ take down 2 of their own. Boston set up early.
Boston look to be in a great position right now, Jay. It just feels like this game is ultimately going to favor them unless the Mutineers can come away with something special, something dicey, something nice, something impressive. They did it on the Gavutsu. They're going to need that same magic this time, but unfortunately, it is Capsidal on the other side who wipes away 2. Vivid receiving the fire, has to decline, has to back on up, and that is where Breach continue to put in what feels like these final kills. Consolation kills is what it feels like right now from Florida. 5 seconds away are the Breach from sending us to a final game, and TJ is doing it in style. The finals spot in winners up for grabs, and Boston and Florida continue to battle it out for it. A series that we hoped could see the distance has officially eclipsed that margin. A great result there for Breach as they get another W on the board. And thankfully for them, it is a hard point at that.
Number 1 in rotations for Florida, but it does not matter if you cannot hold down the hard point. 3rd in break percentage for Boston. Breach were able to execute a bunch of breaks on this map to secure them this win. Massive breaks on both the P3 hard points, massive breaks on that P4. Even when Florida were fully set up, waiting for them to walk into them, they come out on top in the gunfights. The young guns go massive. Capsidal 31 and 21, Nero 29 and 24. The SMGs just going big to at least force this game 5. We saw Vivid have a hot start, but once again, 25 and 18 ends up negative. We know if he's not positive, it's going to be difficult for Florida, or at least not as easy for them to win these respawns. So now we're going into a game 5 search and destroy, where pretty sure statistically this is the best S&D for Boston Breach.
Yeah, man. It's what a series this has been. Like, this has been such a wild chain of events up to this point. I mean, it feels like if that Gavutu doesn't somehow go the opposite direction for the Mutineers, I mean, hey, this would be Breach not just celebrating a map W, but celebrating a series W at that as well. While Boston only have 2 hardpoint victories in the Major III qualifiers, both of them happen to be on Tuscan HP. So that is something to put in the notebooks, maybe the Shane notebooks, if you will. Ban Tuscan HP versus Boston. There you have it. I'm gonna put my notes away, and so should you, because hey, we've got ourselves a great game 5. As we said, folks, everything is on the line right now. Winners versus elimination bracket. Double lives versus 1. When it comes down to that Toronto Major, who is going to see the positives of it and who will see themselves in the very big gauntlet that is the elimination side? Florida versus Boston continues on Berlin Search Destroy after this.
The Call of Duty League is brought to you by Mountain Dew.
Howdy, friends, and it is Game 5 time. Florida Mutineers facing off against the Boston Breach, their 4th encounter against each other in this season, and there are some big stakes on the line. You win, and you are into that winner's bracket. You lose, and you fall into that elimination side. And so far, Jay, it has been Boston walking away with this series every single time. And this is the 3rd time that these teams have gone against each other in a Game 5. And well, search destroy records, unfortunately for Florida, have not been great.
Yeah, potential to go James Bond right now versus the Boston Breach at 0-7. Well, you see the stats there. 1-6 in round 11s, 0-4 in Game 5s. These guys just don't have any ice in their veins, but they do have their one attacking round, in which is their go-to. Simply attack towards A. They win it 90% of the time. So you see right off the rip, Awakening finds that first spud. They sent a lot of pressure there, and Vivid, I thought he found the opening through the middle of the map, but he gets taken down by Nero. They don't find his player, at least in the corner. Capsidal makes it a 2v2. So now with a minute to work with, you have one player in DayPatty who's watching that late flank, but he's going to be completely out of the play. Awakening in a 1v2, basically.
Yeah, I mean, DayPatty has no visuals on what could be a flank through train station, whether that's through the back alley, whatever it may be. Patty somewhat out of the play. Now he's got to do this one solo, a 1v2 versus Methodz and Nero, and ultimately no real information of where these guys could be hiding, where they could be lingering, and ultimately that will be what causes this round to go the opposite direction, Jay.
Yeah, I would have liked to see right there Florida commit towards that A push. Once you find that opening first blood, you already know that you have the man advantage at the site. If they can execute that trade onto Capsidal, like if Vivid doesn't cut through the middle of the map, they find that kill, they can probably get the bomb down in a 3v2, and then DayPatty's flank position actually can be impactful. But once it turns into a 2v2, the slow push towards A gets shut down. Awakening gets taken down, and DayPatty left in the 1v2, just too far away from the play, as Metz is able to clutch it up for his team. Boston up 1-0.
Boston up 1-0. They'll take their first look at attack. That's a great opener there for Nero. Capsidal fast to lay down the objective, and what, he just checks out through docks, realizes things are clear, gets that bomb down, and now sets his team up quite handsomely. Florida, they've got to get this pedal to the metal.
Yeah, Florida got to go 4v4 retake. You don't have a player committing towards the flank. Time is just starting to tick down. Vivid does find that opening kill, though. Now it's on Capsidal. What can he do? He eventually gets taken down, so now it's going to be a 4v2. Methodz at least answers with the nades. So now put themselves in a 3v2 with 20 seconds left, but just look at Vivid on the flank. Vivid on the flank makes the play. Now it's all on Nero. They know that he's trapped in Boathouse. He gets taken down in Florida. Beautiful retake on towards that B site. 4v4 does not matter. They close out the round, now tied at 1 apiece.
Jay, I'll be totally honest with you. My program closed for a second. I open it back up. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to hand this over to Jay. Florida looks to be in a horrible spot, right? They have to retake this. Boston get the bomb down for free. Cool. They're out of the gates. And then the Mutineers, I open it back up, and they've just retaken it. That was wild. You don't see stuff like that very often, do you?
No, especially without a player committing towards that late flank right off the rip.
Right?
Like Vivid worked it nice and slow around that warehouse to make that play possible for Florida. So now going on the attack, Florida going to switch it up this time around. Be aggressive at least towards that B site. 2-2 split for Boston Breach. What kind of information can TJ get? He cannot get any, as all the attacks are going to come in. Player's going to be able to move onto site. So now does Vivid try to rush his bomb plant? No, he's going to be able to spot Nero, but the nade comes in, does not get a hit marker. It's just a difficult situation to be in if you're Nero. He's going to hit some great shots onto Sky, not able to pick up the kill.
Oh, but he instantly challenges. Oh my gosh, Awakening composed as ever. Thankfully is there on the reply. Well, could have been an instant 2 versus 4. To say brings it to a 3 versus 3, but Awakening has once more answered the call. Capsidal has his eyes set on Big Wake. He's going to try to tame the beast. And right as he does, DayPatty, as stationary as ever, there to cut down Cap. Methodz down the 1 versus 3. Has to do something, has to pull off something special. Awakening does have the bomb, so job done for the first. He's going to have that information that Big Wake is near, that he is around this position. Awakening goes off in the round, It got dicey off the rip, but what could have been an instant 2v4 for Nero. A big wake from start to finish.
It's
Brings
such a
the Mutineers to another.
Such a massive gunfight from Awakening as well, because DavePaty once again was all the way across the map. So if Awakening drops there, it's a 1v1 with the bomb down. A lot easier for Methodz to try to clutch up that situation, as the trade was not going to be there. For Florida, they clutch up. Awakening taking over in this game. Number 5, he said, we don't got ice, don't worry. I'm going to try to change that story today. As Boston going to put all out attack on towards A. Vivid in a great position to at least find one. Takes down Nero, tries to take down Capsidal, but now it's a 3v3.
Vivid just happy to sacrifice himself for the team. Throws himself right into the jaws of the opposition.
Look at Skies.
Skies could be in a great position. Very well, looks to catch Methodz off guard. And he could run right past him. I mean, we're looking at a fight on the screen. We're also taking a look at a fight that is going on in the bottom left of your screen. Skies does not spot Methodz. He will get out of dodge for the moment, and as DavePaty falls, Skies is like, okay, where is this guy? Is this Houdini? Who am I dealing with here? This round is done.
Well played by Boston. Well played by Methodz to reposition himself in towards top B5. You can see Skies. He's like, all right, I definitely saw a guy top tower. I'm going to commit towards this gunfight. There has to be someone on this side of the map. But when both of his teammates drop, now in a 1v3, you're still looking for that player. He's already in the middle of the map. Methodz closes out that round to find that final kill. And Boston catches him completely off guard.
What's hilarious, Jay, is that Methodz has no idea. Like, he no clue.
He had no clue.
He's like, that was a pretty easy round, guys. I didn't see a single thing. And he just moved forward in this round, having no idea that literally Skies focused the entire round on him. Great stuff. They're out of Methodz as we are right into this round, and so is Nero. That aggression has worked for him so well throughout this series, and doing so in the game 5, trying to pick up the pace. Good night to DavePaty as Vivid in a 1v4, a beautiful round there out of Breach. And Nero, my goodness, he needs a breather after what was a sprint off the rip.
Yeah, that looked like the exact same round that we saw in game number 2, round 7, where they just full on aggression, did not slow down, no hesitation on the push. Nero breaks right through the door, catches Skies throwing a stun out, finds that first blood, and then to just pounce on everyone at that B site. I would like to see DavePaty for Florida play a little bit closer to the team, because these are multiple rounds now where he's just like the odd man out of the situation. They know the positioning of him. As long as they just dominate that site, they should be able to close at these rounds. Capsidal finds the first blood this go around. That's going to be another bomb planted at B, but now Florida have to try to retake it 4v3.
And really, Florida Search and Destroy Superstar has been taken out. Skies has been their guy all season. It's going to come down to some clutch plays from DavePaty, who has not had a great performance in Search Destroy throughout game 2 and really half of this game 5. Bomb planted in Florida have got to get a move on. Somehow they did it just a few rounds prior, but now a man down. And as we said, really the MVP of this team in this game mode is out of the picture. We say goodbye to Awakening, and now it is all on to DavePaty. Caught, captured, and killed. Another clean round out of Boston Breach.
This is why this is their best map statistically wise, sitting at 9-3 overall. They're just making their offenses look easy. A 61% offensive win rate on this map. And they are showing wise. There's no hesitation once again towards that B plant. They said, we're not going to allow the 4v4 retake, make it 4v3 to happen again. They had 2 players this time around holding that flank. And Capsidal did a great job of just staying alive on that bomb. So now Boston Breach 2 rounds away from securing winner's bracket at the Toronto Major. Florida going to put on aggression towards A. Capsidal and Methodz are going to be here. And Capsidal finds one. Nero with the second 4v2.
Oh, and goodbye to Awakening. DavePaty again in a 1v4. Not an easy job for anybody. And if I'm DavePaty, it's just a matter of, okay, I know this round is most likely over. Just try to find a pick here or there. Remove some of that confidence, maybe from the Boston side. Get him thinking. Capsule's going to reveal his position. Still 45 seconds to work with, but Breach continue to close in that vice grip. I got player number 7 and TJ over at top 3, so he's going to have visuals in just a matter of moments, and there you have it. Boston, another clean round, another first blood. Now up 5 rounds to 2. As you said, Jay, 1 round away from that guaranteed winner spot.
And right there, Boston just doing their homework. They said, we've shut down Florida at this B push twice. And their go-to on this map is just simply attacking A really fast. 90% win rate on that play call. This time they send 2 players at that position. Capsidal finds 1 and then gets out with his life. And that eventually sets up Nero to hit up that flank through secret door. Boston playing basically flawless search and destroy TJ on a 6 screen, Nero on a 5, both working towards glide bombs.
That is a terrifying prospect as well if you're the Mutineers. Got to get these guys out of the picture. Get this round and preferably a nice little 4-0 in the overall lives to deaths. Oh, Nero with a crazy movement makes his way in a small room. He gets dropped. Not sure if he would have killed anybody given the quick pace on the sensitivity. Capsidal rounding the corner, takes one onto Awakening, but falls shortly after. So now brings it to a 3 versus 2. Florida with numbers, but to say for a moment that instantly could turn into a 2v2 if Methodz hits one more shot. Can the vets clutch up for the team?
TJ in a great position to at least give some kind of information of where these players could be. I don't know if he spots that player towards lower docks, but for sure Sky sees him. He's gonna even up, massive kill to at least make it a 2v2, and he picks up the glide bomb. So you can invest it right here if you want, just for information. But you want to make sure you're protecting your player as he's getting that bomb down. The push for Florida is gonna come through middle, able to take down TJ. So now the glide bomb is not gonna be here to work with Methodz in a 1v2 to clutch up for the team.
Can Methodz make the play? Skies and TJHaly all around the corner. Methodz at least receives a few shots, trying to hold off this push, trying to delay as much time as possible. Goes to a corner and realizes he's got to check this bomb at some point. This check is going to be everything. As he does, he rounds the corner, and TJHaly is there to clean him up. An instant turnaround there for the rookie as he keeps Florida in this search to destroy.
That almost got scary because Methodz played that round beautifully. He was finessing around that bomb site, works his way back up to those middle stone steps. And if he wins this gunfight right here, the round is basically done. Just came down to some great shots from TJHaly to keep Florida in this game a little longer. But now they just have to figure out what they're going to do on their attack. Their A push, which is their go-to, has been shut down twice. B push has been shut down once. You just cannot allow Boston Breeze to take back control. You have to be pre-aimed, ready for them to just run right at you.
It's tossed early into this round. TJ very well could be in the one spot that grabs this first blood. He's got to be accurate, but instead it's going to be Nero trying to be aggressive inside a library, but he's in fact the one that gets red. A lovely pick there for Skies. Is now going to give the Mutineers numbers as Vivid lays down the OBJ. It puts the Mutineers in a lovely spot, all things considered. Awakening and Vivid with 2 Mutineers. Okay. They're not going away. They are not going off into the night. We'll get to watch the way that this round closes out again. Great shots there out of Vivid.
And right there, if I'm Nero, I want to just slow down. My teammate has a glide bomb. If they're attacking towards me, we can use that to open up with that first blood and then try to take it or try to retake it in a 3v4 situation. But when you're giving up your life that easy, TJ's is definitely not going to invest that glide bomb. For Florida, 2 rounds in a row. And you know the play call for Boston has to be bringing this bomb towards B. TJHaly with the first blood though on the Capsidal. Once again, just might delay this glide bomb usage from TJ.
It very well could, especially if Florida finds another pick. Boston with a lot of decisions to make. Again, that glide bomb usage, which site we want to go to. We've got no visuals at A. Well, they don't have numbers. They at least have some presence over at this B site as TJ over at top 3, hunting for any little ounce, any pixel that he can possibly spot to bring it to a 3 versus 3 in a more level heading. But take a look at Florida not wanting to move. Not even an inch, not a muscle right now being flexed for the Mutineers. There's 28 seconds left, Boston. Now is the time. A move's got to be made.
They're just not peeking. TJ has been trying to gain some information of where these players can be through the middle of the map. And now with 15 seconds left, they have to commit towards this bomb plant. Nero does take down one. Skies answers with a massive kill onto Methodz. Now bomb carrier, which is going to be TJ, left in the 1v3. If you're Florida, you're just going to pounce on it. You don't want to allow him to get this bomb down. Everyone's going to be here for the trade in Florida. Oh, no, not done yet. Not done yet. Florida, 3 rounds in a row. Able to force the round 11. Round 11s for them have not been their best friend. So far at 1-6 in round 11s. 0-4 in game 5s. Can they get over that hump here?
Can they get over the hump? That's the question. And as we said, they have yet to win a search destroy versus this Boston team. And it looks like we could have a restart, Jay. There might be something going on. Yes.
Oh.
Okay. Something happened. Okay,
That
so
is
we
massive.
sit right now on the brink of a game 5 round 11. I'm almost positive there was not any issues in that round 10. I was told that there could be something going wrong with the game. We go into there. Okay, I was told that all of the games crashed.
Wow.
All of the games just crashed. I don't think that round 10 was affected. So we've got ourselves in an interesting situation, Jay, because we have a game 5 round. We have one more round to play to find out who gets the final spot at the Toronto Major. And TJ still had the glide bomb.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing to take away, man. You can just see it in Capsidal's face. Like 5-5, round 11. You have a glide bomb to work with, and now going into this restart, you most likely will not have it. So Florida are able to catch a break. Now it's just going to be pure gunny. Which team is going to be on offense to try to execute their attacking round? And which team is going to be able to hold on defense? This round is so massive for both of these team winners bracket, losers bracket at the Toronto Major. Basically all on the line right now for both of these squads.
And Jay, like, what does this do to your mentality? Like,
I
honestly,
would
for
lose
Florida,
composure.
like, if you're Florida, you're like, guys, we're in the middle of a 5-2 comeback. We get to a round 11, and now we have to stop things. If you're Boston as well,
Yeah.
you're obviously thinking about that glide bomb without question because, hey, you've been playing around that for the last, 3 rounds. I mean, what does that do to your mentality if you're really either of these teams?
I'm losing composure, man. Right now in this situation, if you're one of these young guns, I'm looking at my leaders, my veteran leaders, to try to get me through this because that is a tough pill to swallow. You were up 5-2 in the search and destroy. 1 round away from closing this out. Florida are able to chain 3 rounds in a row, followed by 3 first bloods as well, to eventually not allow that glide bomb to get invested from TJ. You can just think, like, in that situation where Nero dies with that first blood, when they're on defense, can come back to haunt them. Just such a massive, massive round 11 for both of these squads. Who do you think is going to make the play? Who do you think is going to be able to make the play in this round, Lendo?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
Okay.
You usually ask me, but I'm asking you this time.
that. Oh, I appreciate that. I don't know, man. I guess it kind of depends on who I think is going to win this game, which I think... Okay, I'll say this. This is what really defines everything to me, Jay, because like we said, we don't know anything, right? We're not in charge of like how the games get decided, how the streaks work, all that stuff. But if Boston somehow is given a glide bomb, I'm 100% taking Boston. The player who I think ultimately makes the play is TJ because he has it. I think if we don't have the glide bomb in play, I still like Florida at this moment. And I feel like the guy who ultimately could make the ultimate difference is Awakening. That's the guy who I would pick, I think, in this situation. I mean, it's such an interesting situation that we find ourselves in because we don't really know what's going to happen. And honestly, it's so crazy that this happens in the final round ahead.
Final round.
We have 1 more round to play. Could the games not have just lasted a minute and 30 seconds longer? This is wild. I've never seen anything like this. Like for it to be in the final round.
And when you're looking at the Boston Breach player's face, like Nero looks like he's just lost full. Like this map should be done. Boston should be able to walk away with this series if they did not choke those last couple of rounds. But this is just all mental fortitude. Who's going to be able to make the play call in this round 11? With Boston Breach losing composure, not having that glide bomb, you're 100% looking at Methodz. Hasn't really had the best series so far throughout this one. It's all been the young guns. But in these moments, this is where you're looking at your vets to make the play.
Yeah, I'm trying to piece together a little bit of the information, Jay. So it sounds like it was two, obviously we saw it on the screen. It was two Boston players who did lag out. So again, I don't know how that comes into play in terms of, you know, one team versus the other, who, you know, if the issue happened on the Boston end, what that affects in regards to the streak, etc. But I was also told it was also the observers. Like our production team told us, okay, we just lost a few observers. At the same time, Boston lost a few players. So I'm not sure if there was something going on server wise, if there is maybe a storm that's going on that could be causing all these issues or what it is, but still a very unique spot that we find ourselves in. So I'm being given some information. So it sounds like we will be playing the round 11. Florida is going to be on the attack.
Wow.
No streaks, Jay.
Wow. That's
no streaks.
Massive. Florida on attacking, especially if they try to go aggressively towards A. That's been getting shut down so far in this game 5. Their go-to has been that B push. You're just thinking, if you're TJ, to have that glide bomb in your back pocket would be so useful to at least shut down that pressure at B. But now for Florida, you can take off your cold blood. It's all going to be just about this one round.
That's right. That's right.
This is massive. This is such a big round, man. Changes everything of how we see Toronto Major. Winners in, losers in losers bracket.
Yeah, it's a great call. Like for those who I'm sure are probably joining the stream, a little question or have some questions. Obviously, they're, you know, kind of get into the series. Okay, what's going on? Why are we at a pause? Yeah, we literally just had the game crash as we approach the final round in this game 5, which, as you said, is for a winner's bracket spot. The winner of this round is going to be in the winner's side for the Toronto Major, and the loser obviously is going to be in that elimination side. You see Florida tossing out some fist bumps. I think we're about to jump into this one. I think this round 11 is right around the corner from starting. And as we said, Boston breach. TJ, who did have the glide bomb, is not going to have it coming into this OT. Intensity, without question, is felt. And Jay, like we said, this is such an odd spot. Like, we've had games crash, but never in the final round. Berlin has set the stage, and here we have it. Who is moving in to that winner's bracket side at the Toronto Major? Will it be Florida or will it be Boston? Here we go.
And this time, Boston around. They're not going to be aggressive towards the middle of the map. Nero's not going to give up his life for free as they take full control of that B site. With a minute to work with, all of Florida trying to at least gain some information from this P2 from bottom library. Skies finds the first blood with a great angle through the window. We got to get a replay on that because I know that has to be a tough shot for TJ to get taken down. So now in the 3v4, look at the play coming in from Florida. They're going to all out wrap towards A, and it's all going to fall into the hands of Capsidal. What can he do?
Can the rookie make the play? Can he at least even up the numbers as Florida so carefully make their way into the A site? They do not want to fall. The stun does not hit Cap. The stun does not hit Capsidal. He's got some information, put some tags on a day patty, and has to go big for the second one. Not going to be there. Vivid brings the numbers toward Florida as though it's all on to Nero. A quick 1v3 now turned to a 1v2, and he will drop, and Florida walk away with the W in a crazy series. A game 5, round 11. And just like that, they get the last spot in winners at that Toronto Major.
And finally, the Mutineers are able to beat Boston in Search and Destroy. They were 0-6 before this game 5. They saved themselves from going James Bond 007 as they clutch up in this game 5. Now their game 5 record is sitting at 1-4. Round 11 record at 2-6. Got some ice in their veins tonight to close out this Search and Destroy, man. But it all comes down to that angle onto TJ for Skies. Like, he finds that first blood, and then would look like a beautiful setup for Boston. They were set up for that A rotation. They were set up for the B push. And when you find that first blood, you have the man advantage if you're Florida Mutineers. You stack, you play the buddy system towards A, you get the bomb down, and then in the 3v1 situation, they're able to close it out. Great work from Florida, but on the side of Boston, to be up 5-2, have a glide bomb to work with, get all the way to a 5-5, and then the game crashes. Let me just tell you, man, as a former player, I'm probably ripping the hairs out of my head right now because that is a frustrating loss to take. Now Boston Breach are going to start off in losers bracket. Look at that. Like, he shoots one time and then knows that TJ's there. That's just beautiful homework from Florida, especially Skies, who's been putting in a lot of work in S&D, late night, playing ace left and right, knows every single position of where these players can potentially bleed. Clutch is up for the Florida Mutineers to take the series and now guarantee themselves winner's bracket at Toronto.
Yeah, and obviously you'll take that if you're Florida. But on the other side,
yes,
for Boston, you definitely take it. But on the other side, for Boston, obviously got to be frustrated after a loss like that. But still, yeah, so many little situations, man. I mean, that little peak there from Skies, it felt like Boston was doing everything right to start off that round, not getting any excess information away. Obviously, Skies gets the great angle, and then obviously for Capsidal, he doesn't get stunned off the start. If DavePatty doesn't, I guess, maybe have that type of movement, if Capsidal just hits a few more bullets onto him, maybe he has a chance at 2, and that bomb doesn't go down. So many little things, but it's obviously easy to dissect that round 11 win. We were just waiting on one final round, folks. I don't know if we're ever going to see a moment like that happen ever again, but it was a treat to join you guys alongside for the ride. What a crazy series it was, and as we said, for the final spot at that Toronto Major, Florida are going to have it. Boston, unfortunately, are going to be in that elimination bracket come Toronto time. But now it's time to bring in the desk, guys. A wild series, one that had it all. And Veli, tell you what, man, that round 11 was so tense, my man.
Yeah, it was very intense. Actually, the whole series was intense. This was one of my favorite series of the year, actually. I think Florida and Boston matched up extremely well. It was exciting. Unfortunate for that round 11 where Boston did have a glide bomb, which could have won them the series, and this was for winner's side of the bracket. If you're a Boston fan, keep your heads up because this is a fantastic team, and I'm pretty sure they're going to bust some heads when it comes to the Toronto Major. But overall, big shout out to Florida Mutineers. They got a big win.
Yeah, I mean, Big Wig tweeted out he's going on Demon Time, and I mean, we saw it in that first opening respawn, right? When Florida just came out really hot, they had a huge P1 hold. Even when we went to the Tuscan, even though they lost the Tuscan map 4, they still had a huge P1 hold where they put themselves in a position with a 50-point lead to end up closing out that Kavutu with the 2-point differential. This huge series out of Florida. Oh, so one of my favorite maps in this whole series was definitely map 1. Nameless, that hard point where Boston was in the lead and a few points away from winning it, and Florida came back. That was beautiful, man. I like that out of Florida.
Yeah, I mean, what we saw out of Florida this series was great, right? Like, they played good when it came to the hard point. And then in the search and destroys, though, I want to talk about as well. Like, in that game 5, they did have a comeback, right? Like, there was 3 rounds in a row that they were able to come back to get it to a round 11. They're able to have a good round 11. Now, granted, Boston didn't have the glide bomb. It was still a good play that they had, picking off TJ towards the bomb site and then hitting the wrap all the way over towards A, getting that bomb down and trading out. Efficiently, they win the game. It just sucks for Boston, and I gotta say it. It sucks that they weren't able to execute and close that game out earlier with the glide. That's a tough one to bite, but I'm expecting this team to use that fuel going forward and to make a run when it comes bracket time at the Major.
And actually, the scuff play of the game is going to be the hard point. Nameless said a lot to describe it in words. Those beautiful color commentary right there, right? But Ali, seeing it is such a different story.
This is huge. I can't wait till we get onto Vivid's point of view. He actually gets a huge 3-piece here just to solidify those final couple of seconds. Obviously, you can see this was a very mixy P1 back and forth. I mean, 2 versus 4 points. But Vivid, you can see the kill feed light up. That's 2. There's the 3rd on the ramp just to solidify that W.
There were some huge gunfights on the side of Boston Breach that were lost there on that rotation. Like Capsidal both times. There was one where he's fighting against Skies where he's shooting at him top green. He loses that gunfight when he jumps down to the tank, wins that, and then he tries to hit the rotation once again. DavePatty slides up outside of Beach, wins and Gunny on him there. So it just came down to a couple 1v1s where it probably got a little bit frantic on the side of Breach, but still close game nonetheless.
Very close game. We have a Mountain Dew Game Fuel Victory Spotlight with the one and only Vivid, the engagement monster when it comes to bow cage. Vivid, congrats on your big win. You're going to be on the winner side of the bracket. I have to ask you, what can I expect differently? And I know you've heard me on the desk. What can I expect differently from this Florida team in Toronto than what I've seen before?
I mean, as a team, we just gotta keep getting consistent, and breaking hills, I think, is our main weak point. And then obviously individually, I didn't really have a good stage this in the group stage. Like in scrims, I feel like this is the best I've been in this game. So I just gotta take it over to matches because I feel like it's been the best I've been. And then we just gotta fix our S&D. Our S&Ds, we won one today, but we gotta get better.
Vivid, that control actually was probably the biggest standout map for me when it came to you guys. When you got those first 2 ticks on A, was that like a play call you guys had already practiced to just give up the final tick on A and pressure their spawn to make that wrap to B to go for the stack? Or was that somebody's just like one-off play call of like, you know what, we have enough pressure right now, let's just screw this point and go to B and get that cap?
Yeah, it was something that we definitely talked about doing, but we haven't really done it before. Like we usually just cap A and go, but Joe, Awakening, like in that scenario, went off point and flanked their spawn, which I think was big. Like he didn't get a kill, but he opened the map up, just them having to turn for us. So it's kind of more of a heads-up play than expected to do.
Vivid, you made a massive play at the end of that game 1 where you got 3 kills in ringside. And I just want to know at the end of that, what were the comms like? Did you gun somebody? Because we didn't see your perspective. We just saw the kill feed just light up with 3 from you.
Yeah, one guy there stairs got gunned. The last 2 were kind of one shot from my teammates. But before that, like going to the hill, I stopped shooting at Methodz. So if we would have lost that because of that, it would have been pretty sad. But I think Awakening got 2 in the hill, and then I followed him up with 3.
Hey, yo, Vivid, I got a question, man. Have you ever been to Toronto before?
Yeah, I have been. I've been there once.
You like it? All right, so what are your...
I like it. I'm ready. I'm excited to go.
There we go, baby. All right, so let the Florida fans know what the deal is this weekend when you hit it up with your teammates.
And all the Florida fans, we're going to be putting out for you guys. Hopefully come away with a dub, and we're excited to get back to LAN and show what we're capable of.
Vivid, pop off, man. Let me see another Major 2, okay? But do better this time. Like, go to the end, man, like I believe.
Yeah, got you.
You have a good time, and I'll see you in Toronto. You take it easy.
See ya.
No problem. Safe travels. All right, so, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for the second series of the day. Florida Mutineers will wind up in the winner's side of the bracket. Hard fought, right? This team has actually come a very long way since, the beginning of the year, Nameless.
Absolutely.
I love the progression.
It's been a rocky road for them throughout this entire year, but, you know, it comes down to a Game 5. They're able to take it and land themselves a winner's bracket spot, so congrats to them.
Right, and Ali, any last words to say about Boston? Because heading into Toronto, I really look forward to this team going crazy.
Well, it's not about how hard you can hit, it's about how hard you can get hit and keep on going. So hopefully we'll see what they're capable of doing in the losers bracket come Major 3.
Yes, so ladies and gentlemen, that is it for the second series of the day. But coming up last, okay, we have OpTic Texas and the red hot Los Angeles Thieves. And the question is, can OpTic Texas answer back from their last loss we saw on stream against the New York Subliners? And can the Los Angeles Thieves keep up that type of consistency that we've seen, especially from the likes of Octane? We'll see you guys on the other side for the conclusion of day 3.